today. Um, I'm going to start off with basically how we got to SASE and what SASE is, introduce the product, give a quick demo. It will be live. Um, I'll talk about the available offerings, a customer success story, and then do a question and answer period if time permits. All right. So before we introduce this the solution, let's give an overview of exactly how we got here. All right, so if you take a look at the left hand of the slide here, you'll see a traditional network. All the applications used to be hosted on-prem, and you had to be on the corporate network or VPN to the corporate network and able to access those applications and get work done. Um, branch offices would tunnel all their traffic back to the corporate data center, which meant about 80% of the traffic was internal, including their internet traffic. All users would traffic would have to go through the security stack. So think, the firewall, a web proxy, maybe a load balancer for like an encryption decryption zone if you're inside of a larger enterprise. But that was deployed at the corporate data center as well. And for years, that legacy method was used by the majority of companies, and it worked just fine. But however, things started to change in the world. We started to see the rise of things like virtualization. So applications started to get smaller, and then we started to take things like, say, uh, our Microsoft Exchange, and we moved that to the cloud with Office 365. We took our traditional CRM tools and we moved that to the cloud with Salesforce. We took all that virtualization stack that we once had and moved that to AWS or Azure or GCP or whatever vendor you've chosen for your environment. But what that meant was that most of your applications were now in the cloud. However, the networks didn't catch up. So we were still sending all the traffic either to a branch and then through to the data center, or we were tunneling directly to the data center, then up through the security stack, which forced a bottleneck on those applications. And then we had another situation where, oh, this application's slow. It's the performance issues from the users working at home over VPN, so that we had a big shadow IT issue going on where the users would just either one utilize the tools that were like yours, so utilizing the free version of Office instead of Office 365 that you provisioned for them, or they would be accessing your applications without going through any security inspection, which led to basically security engineers inside of quite a pickle. Do we force them to do this and then have a situation where they can't control what's going on in the environment, which increases risk, or allow the users to get work done? And then finally, the tipping point of it all, 2019, 2020, we had COVID hit and everybody had to go home, and these networks just could not handle it. So everybody had to go home. The security inspection stacks just started to crumble, and then supply chain issues. We could not get the firewalls in fast enough to the bigger firewalls in fast enough to inspect these. So we needed a new model. We needed to change something about the way that we were handling security as well as the networks in general. So that led us to have SASE. SASE is not a single product. It's not. It's not that. It's a framework. It combines the all the great things of our networking tools and all the great things of our security tools, and combines into a strategy that is delivered cloud first. I'd like to say Cisco's approach to SASE is looking pretty good because we have a strong security portfolio and also a very strong networking portfolio, which gives us pretty much a market leader position inside of the SASE marketplace. But what is SASE providing our customers? Well, one, we're ensuring that as endpoints access those applications, they're safe. We know what is accessing those applications because, well, we're securing very close to the application as well as the network is doing the inspection. We're providing improved user experience and their application SLA metrics being beaten more times than not. We're seeing, as you already know, we're the industry leader with Talos, and all of our Cisco Secure tools are powered by Talos, and that includes our SASE solution. Cisco Plus Secure Connect, and then we're providing a faster time to value. You can deploy our SASE solution in a matter of days, and it doesn't take months of buying a bunch of securities because a bunch of tools, and we can circumvent those lead times. So now that you have an understanding of what SASE as a framework is and some of the benefits it provides, let's talk about ours specifically, Cisco Plus Secure Connect. Cisco Plus Secure Connect is a turnkey SASE offering powered by the Cisco Security Cloud and SD-WAN. It simplifies operations and speeds the deployment of a unified managed through a unified managed dashboard. It brings together our best-in-class network, client connectivity, security, and monitoring capabilities in a single subscription service that makes it very easy to acquire. So we focus on three aspects with bringing this product to market. First, we wanted it to be very simple, and the goal was to make it easily consumed, and basically it's a use as you grow model. We wanted to make sure it was secure, so we wanted to leverage the things that we do best. So we brought in the team at Talos to basically ensure that we were utilizing the same things that power the rest of our Cisco Secure solutions would be able to power this. And then finally, we wanted the solution to be intelligent and agile so we can address the customer's needs, and IT admins could focus on the business value instead of focusing on routine IT tasks. So Cisco Plus Secure Connect offers a simple IT experience, making it very easy to deploy, scale, and secure access to applications. This model enables organizations to manage both private and public access for both their users and for both users that work for their organizations and users that work with them. So think employees and contractors. What makes this solution special is that it has SD-WAN built into it already. So we're not asking you to take we're not asking you to take our solution and then go partner with someone else. Everything you need is built in right here. And let me be clear, this is a cloud native solution. We are not spinning up firewalls in the cloud here. This is an actual solution with cloud delivered firewalls and secure web gateways and things like that. I'll go into the stack a little bit further in a minute. So what are our three key use cases for this solution? Number one is securing internet access. So we're trying to provide the users with safe access to the internet and cloud applications, regardless of their locations, and have the ability for that connection to block malicious activity, no matter where they're sitting. Secondly, we want to secure their private access. We want to make sure that when your users are connecting to your private applications, they have a seamless experience, whether they're sitting behind a desk at your branch or sitting in a coffee shop. And then finally, interconnect. We wanted our solution to be able to leverage the prowess of SD-WAN. So for our customers that have multi-campus and multiple branches, we wanted them to be able to communicate between those sites intelligently. All right. This solution is available currently in Europe and North America. And actually, I think that's a bit of a misnomer. North America is wrong. It's just strictly America. It's not in Canada or LATAM or Central America just yet. It's specifically just US. Moving forward. So let's get into the architecture. I like to think of this in the remote worker portion in two key ways: the managed client and the unmanaged. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I mentioned it as employees and contractors. So let's take a look at this top one here. This managed endpoint or employee, they would basically be provisioned either a client on a BYOD device that you've vetted and given your grace, or a client that you've provisioned for them and put on the Cisco Secure client, which was formerly known as AnyConnect. They would be able to do two workflows here. And one of them I'll be able to go into a little bit more detail in the next slide. The first one is when they are accessing public applications. When a user is accessing a public application, um, well, firstly, they'll connect via VPN and to the Cisco Security Cloud. And when they wanted to access that public application, they would traverse the Cisco Security Cloud stack in DNS security, cloud delivered firewall, secure web gateway, and our CASB functionality, and then hit that public application. So that public application could be Spotify or it could be Salesforce. It actually doesn't matter, but it's a public application. And then alternatively, if they were trying to access a private application, they would still be able to leverage these security controls, as well as layering on multi-factor access and posture and health. So not only are you verifying who is connecting, but you're verifying what they are connecting with. And that's why I was mentioning the managed client in that way. And then on the back end, from the Cisco Security Cloud, we would have a tunnel connecting from the Cisco Security Cloud to your private data center or Azure AWS public cloud. I mean, not public cloud, private cloud. Sorry. And then alternatively, this next workflow would be the contractor workflow or unmanaged endpoint. This one would basically be leveraging a browser session to access an application that would normally be private and protected away from the internet. However, now you're able to publish that application so that they can access it and still leverage not these DNS, not this top half here, but they're still able to leverage multi-factor access and device posture and health. So you know who they are and what they are connecting with before they access your application. That way you're protecting your organization from this contractor. However, they had to be provisioned access before they were ever given access to that application in the first place. So you're able to protect your organizations no matter where your workers lie is really the gist of this secure remote worker. And this workflow works very similarly when your users are disconnected from the VPN. As I mentioned in the beginning, there you had to connect to the Cisco Security Cloud. We're still able to provide your users all but the cloud delivered firewall. So if I go back one slide, you can see here that the cloud delivered firewall was there in the top, and now it is. Oh no. Here. All right, that the cloud delivered firewall was there, and now it is not. So you're still able to leverage web security and DNS security, as well as the CASB functionality when your users are not connected to the VPN. And that's a very powerful message for your organization, that you're able to leverage quite a bit of those technologies no matter where your users lie. And then alternatively, the unmanaged endpoint remains the same because they don't have that client, so they cannot connect to the VPN in that way. And then moving on to the final use case here is behind a branch. So if the user was sitting behind a branch, you can see that the only difference is that instead of the user connecting a VPN here, the branch is utilizing an auto VPN to the Cisco Security Cloud. One of the benefits of specifically utilizing this auto VPN here is that it's bi-directional. So if this branch was hosting a private applications of any sort, users at other branches would be able to access it through the Cisco Security Cloud if they so chose. Or if the IT team chose, per se. But the security is all the same. And so moving forward, jumping into the connectivity and features. So this is where I get into a little bit more detail about the solution. As I mentioned with the auto VPN, this solution heavily utilizes quite a bit of Meraki. So for the SD-WAN functionality, we primarily focus on Meraki customers, and it utilizes Meraki SD-WAN for that technology. That's why Auto VPN was there. It basically leverages similar to how, if you're familiar with how SIG-Rocky work, we're basically spinning up VMX connectors in the Cisco Security Cloud, which allows for a user to extend their SD-WAN fabric up to the Cisco Security Cloud, which shortens the hop and also allows for intelligent path selection about whether to utilize the Cisco Security Cloud to access an application, or just go directly to the other branch if it's configured that way, of course. In some capacities, you could configure it where all traffic goes through the Cisco Security Cloud. I wouldn't recommend it, but that is a possibility. But I'm sure you're wondering, actually, I'm sure you're wondering, can you utilize a non-Meraki solution? And you can. You don't have to utilize Meraki as your SD-WAN solution. As you know, Cisco has two. We do have Viptela. Viptela does support this solution. It just requires just a little bit more effort in configuring IPsec tunnels to the Cisco Security Cloud, and then you would, basically it's a little bit more manual. However, that works. And Viptela is not the only one. You can utilize some of our competing SD-WAN solutions as well. Moving on, I've mentioned the Cisco Security Client already. So the Cisco Security Client, this looks very similar to AnyConnect. That's because it is. Think of this as a more evolved version and more efficient version of AnyConnect. This is how we're able to manage those clients that I was referring to earlier, providing them VPN, endpoint protection, as well as roaming security, so they're able to leverage that web and DNS security. The solution also provides its own IDP. So if it's a small customer or a customer that doesn't want to, that is trying to migrate to Meraki, we're able to provide them a built-in identity provider so that they can have a clean cut to this solution. However, you don't have to utilize Meraki IDP if you don't want to. This solution does support any SAML provider, as long as they have access to the appropriate keys for it. Now, jumping into the packet flow here. So when a user is sitting, no matter where they are, if they're connected through a VPN, so either the auto VPN or that tunnel from the secure client, they connect up to the secure client. The first thing they hit is that cloud delivered firewall. So that cloud delivered firewall basically inspects layers 3, 4, and 7. Actually, the first thing they hit is DNS. I'm sorry, and then once the DNS resolution has taken place and it is ensured that it's not something that's already been blocked or anything like that, then it goes to the cloud delivered firewall. Once that cloud delivered firewall is hit, it moves on to the secure web gateway, where you're able to utilize a little bit more of our security controls, and then it traverses on that's also where some of the CASB-like functions take place. And then it's able to move on to that application. So that's the general packet flow of it. And you can see here some more feature sets of that secure web gateway. We're able to do malware scanning. We're able to do sandboxing, as well as SSL decryption. And these things can happen whether or not you are connected through a VPN. So no matter where your users lie, if they are a managed endpoint, these features can be utilized no matter what. One that's not listed here that I need to add is remote browser isolation. We're also able to provide that no matter where the user lies. So you're able to protect those clients from risky applications as well in that way. All right, so jumping into the final piece. ZTNA, clientless ZTNA. So as I mentioned, with the unmanaged device or contractor, you're able to access applications if you're not connected via VPN, and they can be private applications. That works by basically the browser publishing. It's a reverse proxy. They publish the application to the Cisco Security Cloud, utilizing a VPN, and then the Cisco Security Cloud front ends that application, and the unmanaged device or contractor connects to the Cisco Security Cloud and utilizes it there. That way, that risky user or unmanaged contractor user never actually accesses that application directly. So you're basically saving yourself quite the big headache from ever having to deal with that user being able to maliciously interact with that application. So, time to jump into a demo. All right, let's make sure. Hopefully, my session didn't time out here. While I'm trying to load this up, are there any questions that I can address quickly while I'm trying to do this?
Nothing came into the chat, Alvin, but I guess one question that might be helpful to address too is you mentioned the more of the manual integration with Viptela. Is there plans to have more of a native integration with Viptela SD-WAN as well?
Yeah, Viptela is actually being folded into one of the as a portion of like a native portion of this solution. I don't want to give a date just yet. However, it is a high priority, I would say, for the Secure Connect team. So
Yeah.
it's on its way. Even at Cisco Live, they announced that that was one of the portions that they obviously saw as a shortfall, and they definitely needed to address. So they hear us.
Thank you.
All right, so jumping into the demo, what you'll see here is the solution starts off on the Meraki dashboard. Don't be afraid of that. That does not mean you require Meraki, as we literally just talked about. This just happens to be a clean place to provide a dashboard that allows you to jump in and out of those solutions. So let's take a look at it. All right. So what we have here on the overview page is we have a security request portion that shows just general basic security information of allowed, blocked, and proxy requests. On the policy section, you can see the various policy engines and how many policies have been applied of that type. If you look over here at the sites, you can see how many sites are deployed to the Cisco Security Cloud and the current health of them. You can also see the network tunnels, as well as the amount of public applications discovered. It's discovering these public applications through either the secure web gateway or the DNS requests during these total requests when the users are accessing this the Cisco Security Cloud. So it's pretty cool that it's able to do that. And if I were to click this, it would cross launch into and show me the listing of those applications. Not the scope of this demo right now. I'm just going to move on past that real quick. All right, so taking a look at this dashboard, you're able to see three key pillars here: monitor, configure, and policies. And that should be very familiar to our Meraki customers. And that's what we wanted. We wanted a very we wanted a very similar design language to what people would be able to understand and grasp. So jumping into the first key use case of this demo, remote access setup. So I run over to configure. I click remote access setup. It'll load. All right, and while that's loading, this is basically going to pull up not a dashboard, but let's say a wizard that tells you exactly what you need to be doing to configure this. So you configure the remote access setup. So you click over here, cross launch. It cross launches into Umbrella. So consider this a service chain of utilizing two of our best tools: Meraki SD-WAN, Umbrella for security. Think of them as policy engines. Meraki is the network engine, and Umbrella is the security engine. If you were thinking inside of a traditional security mindset. So the way that this looks is you're able to see the active regions. You're able to see the URL that you provide your users when they are trying to access the VPN, so that they connect directly to the Cisco Security Cloud. And then you're able to see the data centers in which this is deployed to. If you wanted to add a new one, it'd be pretty simple. You choose the region, and then it would provide the various locations there. It'd be a single click there. But jumping back over to the dashboard, as you can see, we're not trying to force you to type in a bunch of URLs or anything like that. It's back and forth really simply there. We set up the sites there. If you already have sites enabled, you can literally just add them in to the solution. If you wanted to add a cloud hub, you can do that. So they're right here. US cloud hubs. Those would be the sites that were just referenced to when I was showing you the VPN listing. And then if you wanted to add more, you could do that by manage cloud hubs here. And this list will obviously get bigger as we add more regions. You click add cloud hub, and then you would give it a name and then choose the location. Cancel here. All right, so going back to remote browser access. And then finally, you provision users. That's pretty straightforward. That's basically utilizing either using your SAML provider to create users for this application, and then you deploy that AnyConnect via whatever means you're typically used to it. Um, Most people utilize a device management solution, so I won't jump into that. And
Hey,
then
Alvin, quick question for you.
Mhm.
Is it necessary to deploy a client for ZTNA capabilities?
No, I'm going to demo that.
Perfect.
Um, and then finally, I'm going to jump into the access policies of this solution here. So I won't go into too much depth here because it's very similar to an umbrella demo, and that's not like the entirety of this. Um, so I won't go into too much depth. I'll just go do an overview of what this looks like as a whole. So it jumps you right into the firewall policy. And the reason why it does that is because it's basically allowing you access between the individual sites. Because remember, we're coming from a remote access VPN setup. It allows for you to see access to the specific applications. Because remember, those are also within your network. They're behind your own branches per se, because they're part of the Cisco Security Cloud. You've extended your SD-WAN up there. So if I wanted to take a look at, let's say, the medical application, let's take a look at that one. And I wanted to do an edit here just to take a look at it. You'd be able to see here that there's private. You select what type of application you wanted to do. If you were creating it, you give it a name in a priority order, so it knows where in the stack to go, the rule action, and then you choose who's allowed to access it. So in this case, it's a medical application, so only doctors are allowed to access it. I won't go into who the doctors are just yet, but um, you're able to see here that only the doctors are able to access the medical application, and then what you can also choose what subnets are allowed to access it, and then schedule, hit counter, and various things like that that you would see with other firewalls. And then alternatively, if I looked at the finance one, not to go, I won't. I promise I won't do another one to you guys. um, you're able to see here, if I change it, you're able to see here that the finance application it's a private application rule. It allows for the finance people, so Bill Shredder and Ursula Payup are the finance workers, so they are able to access the finance portal. All right, so if I were to take a look at that and go back to the remote access here, pull up my VM. Oh no. I guess I took too long trying to give you guys a presentation. Hopefully we're back in action quickly. All right, so as you can see here, I had that 2E7F location there. However, I'm able to choose locations individually if I wanted to access the remote access VPN to the cloud. However, I'm just going to let it auto-select it. And as you can see, my umbrella connector is active. And do a quick demo of that just to make sure that, show you that. Just do a welcome, show you this. All right, you can see I'm protected by umbrella regardless if I'm connected to the VPN. However, I'm going to connect to the VPN, and I'm going to connect as Bill Shredder. So right, we're going to bypass Duo for the sake of the demo. And then it says welcome. You can change that welcome message if you want, just like any other firewall. And now I'm connected to the VPN. I should be able to have access to those private applications. So if I wanted to access that, if I tried to access the medical application, because if you remember, Bill Shredder is not a medical worker, he is a finance worker, I should have no access. It doesn't seem to be allowing me at all. All right, let's try the finance one. Should have quick access to the finance one because he's a finance worker. It seems to be timing me out on the medical one. Not trusting the certificate, not certain that's why, but in the ZTNA demo, I'll be able to show you the access being blocked in that one. So jumping into that ZTNA one, I will switch clients here. So turn this off, disconnect this client, and then I'm going to go ahead and close it so that there's no confusion. So that was my virtual machine, and consider this a new workstation. Is this too small for you? I don't know. All right, let's go for it. All right, so this client is an unmanaged client. So unmanaged client, well, consider an unmanaged client because it's not running AnyConnect. It doesn't have the profile, it's missing, it's not there. So if I try to go to welcome umbrella, you should see an oops, I can't access that. So this is a simulated unmanaged client. If I wanted to access the finance portal, I should be able to get right to it with Bill S. And he's blocked. I'm not certain why, actually. Something's not working right. Okay. Demos are as demos go. In a normal situation, that one should have allowed him into the finance portal just as it did on the other client. I'm not certain what's going on here. However, let me move on to show you. Maybe I could actually find out what happened there. If I were to look at the browser access policy here, you're able to see here, once it loads, that Bill Shredder should have been able to access the finance portal. It's enabled, it's an allow, and it should have been able to get there, and he should have been, only the doctor should be allowed to access the medical portal. And I'm not sure why it didn't work. However, I will move back into the slideshow because that concludes the demo portion. I'm still sharing this. All right, moving forward. All right, so we have two offerings available for this for Cisco Plus Secure Connect. It's pretty straightforward. We have Secure Connect Essentials, which provides you the basis of the things that I mentioned: remote access with ZTNA, cloud security, connectivity and interconnect, which is the SD-WAN functionality, and then basic support. And then Advantage basically just adds on some of those more heavily advanced security functionality. If I do a quick breakdown here, you're able to see here that on the left, the essentials column here, that the only three things that are added are that cloud delivered firewall, DLP functionality, which does utilize Microsoft AIP flags inside of the metadata, and cloud malware detection and secure malware analytics, which this basically allows for you to utilize. This basically allows for you to use unlimited applications and support for all the applications instead of where you see up here where it only uses a limited number of applications. So moving forward with that, let's talk about a customer success story. So um, George Sink, PA injury lawyers in South Carolina, big up to South Carolina with the hurricane today. They basically had 13 offices around South Carolina and Georgia, with over 200 employees and loads of client. And as you all know, law firms have a very important need to have quick access to their applications, but also very secure access to their applications. And they also work with a lot of third parties. So what this solution was able to do for them, well, basically what challenges that they wanted to be able to migrate to a VPN. They had a lot of on-premise stuff and they wanted to move to a cloud version. They obviously had a lot of remote employees because we're talking during the pandemic time frame here for this one, and they still needed their users to access application, and they were still going through this migration to the cloud in the back end, and they didn't want to do that manually like a lot of the other vendors were asking them to do. So what our solution was able to do for them is they were able to get this deployed very quickly in a matter of a few hours without a bunch of extra engineering. What about a bunch of over engineering? First of all, they just deployed the SASE agent to or secure client to their users, so that gets them secured and ensuring that when they're accessing all of the cloud tools, they are safe, secure, and they're not they're not at any risk there. And then they were able on the back end to start publishing their private applications to the Cisco Security Cloud. So utilizing DNS, they were able to let those users be able to access those applications, and they seamlessly didn't even realize that the applications were now being accessed through a reverse proxy instead of being able to instead of connecting to VPN and having to go to having to go to their existing data center / co-location. So what did this provide them? One, increased productivity for their users. That is huge because we're talking billable hours. This is a law firm. They were able to have 10 times faster onboarding for the remote workers, which is huge for the IT staff because now instead of having to have a user come in to the location to get things, they can just mail them a laptop, and then once it boots up, they're able to get access to those applications very quickly. And then they were able to secure their application across multiple locations instead of sending everything to the headquarters. And that's just one of the key benefits in a real world scenario where you can see Cisco Plus Secure Connect working for our customers. So what is the truest advantage of Cisco Plus Secure Connect? And this is the last slide. So if there are any questions, you can queue them up now. One, it is very easy to consume. As I just said, they were able to start to see results in 2 hours at George Sink. So it's a single subscription service, cloud security, remote access capabilities, no matter where you are. And then you're able to have it has a very simplified billing because one is just one solution. You're not connecting to your SD-WAN vendor and your SSE vendor and your ZTNA vendor. It's just one place to go. So one place for support. It's very fast to deploy and simple to manage, as I already mentioned. And then we have an uncompromised user experience because utilizing DNS, you can just publish those apps to our Cisco Security Cloud, and then update the DNS records to point back to our Cisco Security Cloud, and the users see no difference except for that their applications are much faster to access. And then finally, this is the most effective security solution in the market. Year after year, third year in a row, it just came out. We're able to show that we are number one because our DNS is incredible, our secure web gateway is incredible, and it's all backed by Talos. And nobody else can say that, and that's something that this solution is powered by, and it makes me proud to be a SASE engineer.